Hello everyone. Did you know that the Hindu Marriage Act, the law that has shaped the personal lives of millions of Indians, officially came into force on 18th of May 1955? It was a turning point. But beyond the bare text of the law, it's the courts, through judgments that have really explained what marriage means as a legal and social institution. What is marriage really about? Is it just a personal choice, or does society have a stake in it? Or is it a contract, a sacrament, or both? And how do the courts capture its emotional, moral, and legal dimensions? In today's video, we are going to reflect on 8 powerful quotes from landmark judgments. Some of these quotes are inspiring, others are cautionary, and all of them are deeply insightful. So let's begin. To marry or not to marry, and if so whom, may well be a private affair, but the freedom to break a matrimonial tie is not. Society has a stake in the institution of marriage. Dastane versus Dastane, 1975 to SCC 326. What the Supreme Court is saying here is actually quite profound. It starts by acknowledging that marriage, the choice to marry or not, and the choice of partner is fundamentally a private decision. This reflects our autonomy and personal liberty. However, the moment we talk about ending a marriage, the matter no longer stays purely private. Why? Because marriage is not just a private contract between two people. It is a social institution. That's why society, through law, claims an interest in regulating the conditions under which a marriage can be dissolved. In this case, the Supreme Court was actually dealing with the ground of cruelty. But this court transcends the specific facts of the case. It's a statement of principle that guides our entire matrimonial jurisprudence. Next quote is, conjugal rights, that is, the right of the husband or the wife to the society of the other spouse, is not merely a creature of the statute. Such a right is inherent in the very institution of marriage itself. Saroj Rani versus Sudarshan Kumar, AIR 1984, Supreme Court 1562. The Supreme Court here clarifies that the duty to live together, to provide companionship and support is so intrinsic to marriage that even if the statute didn't spell it out, the obligation would still exist. Why is this significant? Because it tells us that some marital duties are not created by law, they are simply recognized by law. The law merely formalizes what is already expected in the social and moral understanding of marriage. Next judgment beautifully captures the emotional dimension. Matrimonial matters are matters of delicate human and emotional relationship. It demands mutual trust, regard, respect, love and affection with sufficient play for reasonable adjustments with the spouse. Chetan Das versus Kamla Devi, 2001 4 SCC 250. This quote is one of my personal favorites because it gets right to the heart of what makes a marriage work or fail. The marriage is mutual trust. It is comprised of regard, respect, love, and affection. These are not just things you can enforce with court orders. No judge can command a husband or wife to genuinely love or respect their spouse. That's why the court also talks about reasonable adjustments. Every marriage involves give and take, and sometimes tolerating the imperfections of the other. But sadly, not every marital journey unfolds as a happy story. In India, one of the darkest stains on the institution of marriage has been the menace of dowry. The next quote highlights this issue powerfully and painfully. A bride leaves the parental home for the matrimonial home, leaving behind sweet memories therewith, a hope that she will see a new world full of love in her groom's house. She leaves behind not only her memories, but also her surname, gotra, and maidenhood. She expects not only to be a daughter-in-law, but a daughter in fact. Alas, the alarming rise in the number of cases involving harassment to the newlywed girls for dowry shatters the dreams. In-laws are characterized to be outlaws for perpetrating terrorism, which destroys the matrimonial home. The terrorist is dowry, and it is spreading tentacles in every possible direction. Kamlesh Panjiyar versus State of Bihar, 2005. This is one of the most evocative and hard-hitting observations made by the Supreme Court on the reality of dowry-related harassment. Let's pause and absorb what the court is actually saying here. This reminds us that while laws can penalize the wrongdoers, the deeper problem is cultural. Real change will come only when social attitudes evolve. Next quote brings us back to the essence of what makes a home a happy place, of lasting happiness and peace. The foundation of a happy home is love, sharing of joys and sorrows, and not in that sense bricks and concrete. There should be cementing of hearts and not cementing of floors and walls. Life is a series of awakening. The happiness which brings enduring worth to life is not the superficial happiness that is dependent on circumstances. Gaurav Nagpal versus Sumedha Nagpal, 2009. This is a beautifully worded observation. The phrase, cementing of hearts, is particularly powerful. It tells us that true bonding between spouses, and indeed among all family members, requires emotional investment. A home thrives not because of its material comforts, but because of the intangible things: love, empathy, shared experiences, and mutual support. Now let's see the next one. Marriage as a social institution is an affirmance of civilized social order where two individuals capable of entering into wedlock have pledged themselves to the institutional norms and values and promised to each other a cemented bond to sustain and maintain the marital obligation. Malti Ravi versus B.V. Ravi, 2014. Affirmance of civilized social order. Marriage helps in maintaining social order by formalizing family units and providing a stable environment for raising children. Next quote beautifully captures the resilience that marriage demands. Marriage is highly revered in India, and we are a nation that prides itself on the strong foundation of our marriages. Come hell or high water, rain or sunshine, life is made up of good times and the bad times can bring with it terrible illness and extreme hardships. The partners in a marriage must weather these storms and embrace the sunshine with equanimity. Kolam Chandrasekhar versus Kolam Padmalata, 2014 Supreme Court. The court here reminds us that marriage is not meant to be fair weather bond. Every marriage faces ups and downs, joyful moments as well as periods of difficulty, whether due to illness, financial hardship, or other personal crisis. What defines the strength of a marriage is not how it thrives when things are easy, but how it endures when the going gets tough. Our last and final quote: a wife is considered to be half of oneself, ardhangini, but to be accepted with an identity of her own and to be co-equal partner in the marriage. There is nothing like a better half in a marriage, but the spouses are equal halves in a marriage. Dolly Rani versus Manish Kumar, 2024, again by Supreme Court. The term ardhangini, literally meaning half of the body, has been part of Indian cultural discourse for centuries. Traditionally, it signified that a wife is not an outsider, but an inseparable part of her husband's life. But the court takes this concept a step further. It clarifies that while the wife is indeed seen as an integral part of the marital union, this should never mean she loses her own identity. Marriage does not mean subsuming the wife's individuality. Instead, it is about two individuals, each with their own dignity and identity. They come together as equals. Today's journey through 8 landmark codes showed us just how layered marriage really is, legally, emotionally, and socially. From personal choice to social responsibility, from conjugal rights to the fight against dowry, and from emotional resilience to true gender equality. Each judgment opened a new window into the meaning of marriage. I hope these insights gave you something valuable to reflect on. At LiveLaw Academy, this is exactly the kind of depth and clarity we bring to our classes. We don't just teach you the sections, we help you understand the heart of the law. If you are serious about your preparation, here is something that you should know. Our next scholarship test is on the 11th, an opportunity for meritorious students to earn scholarships. Secondly, registrations for the upcoming JESEP and JESEP Lite batches are still open. The classes will commence on 15th of May. Whether you are preparing for judicial services or aiming to strengthen your foundation in law, we are here to guide you. Check the description for links and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Do let us know which of these codes resonated with you the most. Drop your thoughts in the comments and we would love to hear your perspective. The law is always evolving. Let's grow with it and see you soon.